YouTube, how's it going? The Goat House is back, and we're already getting going on the offseason content here. Today's video, going through every single NFL team and giving each of them somewhat of a big-time free agent that they should sign this offseason. Keeping it realistic, too, you know, in terms of the cap space. A lot of these teams are going to have to clear cap space to maybe make some of these moves, but I think it's a good fit, and I think they're realistic. So I think this is what they should do. We'll have all kinds of predictions, what teams should do, cap fixes for free agency grades when the signings actually happen. We do this every year. NFL draft coverage as well. We got playoff coverage going on right now, so we got you covered. Most NFL content you'll see on YouTube, maybe on the planet. And same thing goes for our Twitter. A lot going on there. Check it out. Link in the description comments for anything that you may need. Check it out. And then, yeah, here's the Twitter. Just make sure you go follow it here. If you don't have a Twitter, make one. Just constant talking during live games. And I'll put a link in the comments about this sided app as well. Who's the best free agent wide receiver in your opinion? My pick was Kenny Golladay. You guys can comment. Some of you did. And you get make your way on the leaderboard. You get points, and you can win Amazon gift cards. 10 places each week. Win Amazon gift cards. We're going alphabetical order by the city's name, the team's first name, I guess. So we'll start with the Cardinals. I had SHAQUILL Griffin. It's the Seahawks corner. Obviously, they could use a corner back there, and they could add that through the draft. But yeah, I mean, the big one is Patrick Peterson being a free agent, but he's declined quite a bit. I think SHAQUILL Griffin would be a pickup that they can make, you know, with their cap space situation. And which isn't terrible. They don't have a whole bunch, but there's a lot of teams in the worst situation. But, yeah, I think Griffin would be a pretty good pickup. I see him as a fit as well. I definitely can see it. Staying in the division, perhaps, if he goes from Seattle to Arizona. I think the Seahawks would like him back, but, you know, I think their main focus is on, you know, continuing to build the pass rush because that's a little more important to them. Defense is playing much better when that was getting going. So we'll see if the Cardinals can add a Griffin or a cornerback similar here in free agency in 2021. The Falcons, they got Chris Carson. Now the Falcons they're in the negative in terms of the cap space. We'll see what the cap number ends up being for this year. But yeah, they're gonna have to make some cuts to clear some space. They hired Arthur Smith, the Titans OC, in the offseason, and that's because they kind of want to go back to running the ball a little more, having more, you know, being more effective in the run game to open up the pass game, make things easier for Matt Ryan or the potential future quarterback that they take at 4, if they decide to do that. But they need a running back, you know, and I think who is the closest type of running back, you know, the closest style running back to Derrick Henry? I'm thinking Chris Carson, you know, in the whole NFL, and he happens to be a free agent. So if they can clear some space and make this happen, this could actually be, you know, one of their dream signings, but it's going to be tough. You know, he might not cost that much. You know, he might, you know, in terms of his talent level, he actually might be under that because where the running back value is right now, and he's had some injuries pop up during the years as well, but he's a very good underrated back. I think he's somewhat similar to Derrick Henry, so they're going to try to replicate that. Maybe they have to go a little cheaper. You know, Jamal Williams, James Conner maybe, but I think this is kind of one of those dream fits, so we'll see if the Falcons can pull it off. The Ravens, how about Allen Robinson hitting free agency, one of the best receivers in free agency, a big-time receiver from the Chicago Bears. Has had production his whole career with some, you know, below-average quarterbacks, you know, so get him in there with Lamar Jackson. That would be definitely interesting and definitely boost I think the Ravens offense, because they're pure running right now. They get passing game going here and there. Mark Andrews, sometimes Hollywood if he can catch the ball. But I think this is a way better version of a Miles Boykin, more to his game, obviously, with Allen Robinson. So that would be the ideal starter next to Hollywood Brown and next to Mark Andrews, the tight end. So I think this would be ideal. The Ravens are going to have in the range of, it depends on what the cap space number is for each team, which they haven't decided yet, but they're going to have in the range of, 20 to 30 million before cuts. So that's pretty good. That's actually really, for a really good playoff team here, that's actually pretty damn good. But they have all their pass rushers are pretty much free agents, so they're going to have to spend some money on getting some of those guys back. But I think they'll still have room to make a move like this. What I like about Robinson is he played a little bit more in the slot this year, which shows, he's a little more versatile than we once thought. I guess the question with him is, he's very good, obviously, but he's not the best separator. There might be better separators available, but overall, a really good receiver, and the Ravens would benefit from having him there. But he could cost quite a bit. The Bears didn't, they couldn't reach an extension because I think he was asking for too much according to, maybe what they want to offer him. We don't know what that number is. So he's going to be pretty pricey, though. So we'll see if the Ravens can do it. Bills, Richard Sherman's going to be a free agent. He very well, I almost put him in the Jets in this video because he very well could end up with Robert Salah and back with him and on the Jets. He's familiar with the scheme. Very well could happen, but I think the Bills it's a legit shot he can end up with the Bills. The Bills aren't going to be big-time spenders. They spent quite a bit last year, I thought, but they're not going to be big-time spenders this offseason. And that's okay because they're a pretty complete, damn good team. They're still alive right now, and they're in the AFC Championship game. And they took a shot on a veteran corner in Josh Norman, who's been pretty solid when he's on the field. But, how about you upgrade it, in this offseason? Take another shot in a veteran, maybe the last piece of the puzzle for the defense there. They do have to re-sign Matt Milano, but I would like that, and I could see them pulling that off there, getting Sherman in there, pairing him with Tre'Davious White. Sherman being, kind of being responsible for the number twos in terms of receivers, pretty intriguing. That could be a damn good secondary with those safeties as well. So it's something I can see them doing there. And I don't know if it's necessarily a fit. I think any good corner can fit. And by me saying that, I'm not saying it's not a fit, but I think any solid corner can fit the Bills. They seem to mix it up, their coverages, their scheme a little bit. So, of course it's a fit, but it's just really, I don't know if there's really specific fits in terms of corners there. The Panthers, this is an interesting one. This is one I don't know if I see happening, to be quite honest. I do think it's realistic. I just really like the fit of JADEVEON CLOWNEY there, opposite of Brian Burns. What Clowney brings is top-tier run-stopping ability from the edge as well. And I think that's what they could use out there opposite of Burns. And he gets pressure, too. He gets pressure. I think he fits the Panthers scheme better than he fit the Titans scheme. So, and we see the Panthers take Brian Burns, who we kind of viewed as like more of a 3-4 pass rusher, and the Panthers switched to a 4-3. Is Brian Burns kind of going to work in that? He did. He had a really good year. So I think kind of being that type of team, I think Clowney works better in that 4-3 type of team, but, he's flexible, versatile there. So I like the fit. I don't think he's going to cost that much. So it's something, I don't know if I'm not predicting it to happen, but it's something I can see. I kind of just see it, Clowney opposite of Burns there in that, on that defensive front. They do have Gross Matos there, but I would like for him to be a rotation guy early on. Wasn't on the field a whole bunch the first year. So Clowney could end up being a little cheaper than his talent says. So I think the Panthers kind of can pull that off. And that defense was actually, it was pretty good given that how many how many young guys were in there, how many guys they drafted on defense. It's fairly a new defense. It wasn't a great defense, but I think it was way better than expected. And I think they could use another pass rusher. It's kind of Brian Burns kind of carrying the group there. And, they're not really in position. I mean, they could be. Do they draft a top-tier edge rusher in the draft? I don't know if I see that happening. So you're going to have to try to hit on one in free agency, in my opinion. So I just like the idea of Clowney in there on that Panthers defensive line. So we'll see. The Bears, you may be surprised not to see an offensive player here for the Bears. And they do need offense, and they need offense, and they need more offense. They need a quarterback. They might need, they're going to need tackles probably for now in the future. They're going to need receivers, whether they got Allen Robinson back or not. So they got a ways to go. They got a lot to do for offense. So one guy really isn't going to change how the offense is unless it's they trade somehow for Deshaun Watson, which I don't think it's going to happen, but it's a long shot. But that would be the exception there. One guy turning around the whole thing. So they need offense, but I love this fit of Marcus Maye on the Bears. We'll see if they can clear a little bit of space to make this happen. But then they're going to put kind of the offensive building into jeopardy. So that's why it's a tough thing. But the Bears defense is still very good, but it feels like it's declining a little bit there. And they're going to bring in a new defensive coordinator. But I think this just one addition, the whole offseason, adding a guy like Marcus Maye, I think they can make that defense that much better. Why? Because he has experience at free and strong safety, and that's big time. I view him as a strong safety, kind of what he played this past year, roaming around in the box, making plays. But he still had some reps downfield in coverage, and I think that's perfect. I think that's ideal. Eddie Jackson hasn't been playing as good as to where he played at an elite level a few years ago because he sat back at a free safety position, read the quarterback's eyes, what he does best, and he was able to be a playmaker in the back end. Marcus Maye, I think, kind of filling more of that strong safety role. And again, they both have experience opposite. I think it's ideal. And I think that can make the entire defense better. Makes Eddie Jackson better, makes the entire defense better. so they really don't have to focus on anything else defensively. But again, their main focus is probably on offense this offseason. They're going to have to clear some space so they can make some moves like this and mainly offensively. Maybe they can build offense with the draft. It's tough to say because, one move is not going to – one realistic move, it really isn't going to change their offense. We'll see. I just really like the fit of MAYE on the Bears, so we'll see if they can pull it off. I feel like I'm saying that at the end for every team. Bengals, Brandon Scherff, the best guard free agent. I think he's a plug-and-play guy. And usually you're as good as your unit. Sometimes good guys are kind of hidden in bad units. We really don't know they're good, but Washington football team's unit wasn't that good, but Brandon Scherff was very good. So I think if you put him in a better unit, maybe the Bengals aren't the better unit. But my point is he's going to be good no matter what. I'd be surprised if he changes unit, changes the scheme or anything, and he's all of a sudden bad. I'd be surprised. The Bengals are in position to kind of take the tackle of the future if they need to. They could kind of double dip. They could go tackle in free agency as well. I thought about a Taylor Moton. Could they get? I don't think Trent Williams would play for the Bengals. He kind of refused to play for the Vikings last year. So, I don't know if I see it. Maybe a Taylor Moton, perhaps. Brandon Scherff. It was weird. Last year I had Joe TOMLINSON as a fit for the Bengals. So I thought about putting Joe TOMLINSON again this year. He's a free agent from the Patriots. Back with here, but Scherff, I think they can kind of go all in, a little better guy here, a little better option, and kind of get that interior better to stop the interior pressure, to run block a little better, so Joe Mixon can kind of get going, and then in the draft with your high pick, because you're not going to use a high pick on a guard, then you could focus on tackle. Penei Sewell, if he's gone, Darsaw perhaps you can move back a little bit. So kind of focus on this part. In free agency was kind of my thinking, but obviously everyone's going to have multiple signings. The Browns, Jayon Brown to the Browns, the Titans linebacker. Yeah, the Browns need some more linebacker help. Jayon Brown, I would like to fit here, actually. He plays in a 3-4 currently, but I would actually like him in a 4-3, kind of playing outside in that role. He's very athletic, very quick, very fast. He's always firing to the ball, and he can make plays. So he can get after the quarterback. He can make plays, get his hands on the ball, in the back end as well as a coverage linebacker. So I think you kind of get everything with Jayon Brown. I think you play a little better in this scheme than the way he played this year. The last couple years he was fantastic. Titans defense is a bit of a mess this year, but I would like this signing very much. Jayon Brown to the Browns. Pair him with that young group. I think it'll be ideal there. So that could be a big time signing for them. They got some cap space to work with as well, and they're going to focus on defense, so signing guys like this. Cowboys, Anthony Harris. Yeah, I think it'll be ideal for the Cowboys to kind of get more of a true free safety. You play a little bit of both the Vikings. He's much better at free safety, kind of sitting in the back end and making plays, reading the quarterback. Looks like they got something with Donovan Wilson. Yeah, he moves around a bit as well, but I think Harris pairing with him could be ideal. They need cornerbacks too. I do like Trevon Diggs. I think they could focus on the other cornerback position in the draft, perhaps. But Harris had kind of an off year this year, but last year he played like maybe the best safety in football. So his value has definitely come down because of this year. But there's a lot of potential here, a lot of potential, and you're basically getting more more playmakers in the back end there. So creating those turnovers basically is what the Cowboys get out of this. So I think you need corners and you need safeties. What would you rather go into the draft needing? I think corners. Your rookie corners tend to struggle and take a little bit, but the safety class definitely on the weaker side. You're really not in position to get a starting safety in the draft. So a guy like Anthony Harris, maybe John Johnson, could be ideal here. So a couple options there. The Broncos definitely could use a corner to, and some re-signings on the defensive side to kind of complete their defense. BASHAUD BREELAND is, I'm a big Breeland guy. He's an underrated corner. Very good in man coverage, very good at press, very sticky in coverage, very physical, can come up, and he wants to come up and hit. He'll come up and hit you. I think he's very underrated. There's times where he gets beat, but that's because he's playing a lot more man coverage than a lot of the other corners across the league. If most, not all of those guys, if most of those guys played as much as he did, they would get beat as well. He's probably going to be a steal. We'll see what he goes for. He's probably going to end up being a steal for everybody, whoever gets him. So I think he fits Vic Fangio's philosophy there of a cornerback there that he would like. Add him into the mix. And if they re-sign Justin Simmons, if they got to re-sign some guys there, AJ Johnson, Shelby Harris, etc. But yeah, I think that, if they had a guy like this year, they'd have been a lot better, because they were thin at corner as it was, and they had some injuries. So this would be a signing I would like for them to make here to, maybe I want to say the final piece of the puzzle for that great defense, but again, they got to re-sign some guys. So it maybe could be the final piece of the puzzle. The Lions, DALVIN Tomlinson, a nose tackle from the Giants. I think he's a very solid nose tackle. He's not super flashy. He's not going to get after the quarterback, which is kind of the name of the game in today's era, but you got to stop the run. That's a big part of the game. The Lions for so long just have not been able to stop the run. They've been looking for nose tackle after nose tackle. They got Snacks when he was kind of coming, old Giants guy too, when he was coming, towards the end of his career. Wasn't anything special. They signed Danny Shelton this offseason. I'd imagine they cut him to save some money there, and I don't know if he's really the answer. DALVIN Tomlinson, plugging him in would definitely boost the run defense. Run defense is just atrocious right now. They got to make it better. They bring in Dan Campbell, and they're going to bring in some Saints guys. Saints-minded defensive staff here. So their motto was always stop the run first. Make teams pass. That's kind of the Saints. They're consistently top tier at stopping the run. That's their first objective. So I think it'll be somebody that they'll kind of look into here, a nose tackle that can stop the run first. So that'll be ideal, maybe to have the Lions take that, step in the right direction that they have not been able to get to. So definitely somebody to look out for. I definitely think that's somebody they'll be in on. The Packers are tough because they got a bit of a cap space situation. So this was tough, but I just really like Corey Davis for the Packers. Could have put Will Fuller here. Will Fuller is going to be much more expensive, and they tried to trade for him. Much more expensive, though, where I don't think it's really realistic. They got some guys they probably want to re-sign. They're going to clear some space as well. We're going to have a future video for every team on how, can they clear that space? Who can they cut? What's their cap space going to look like if they do these moves? So we have those videos. I just really I think they'll be in on Corey Davis. It really depends on, and usually I'm pretty good at ballparking how much guys will cost. I really don't know how much Corey Davis will cost because he's had one good year. He's pretty much a letdown before that. He had a pretty damn good year, but in the big moments, the playoff game, he kind of disappeared a little bit. The Packers game, they kind of disappeared. So, I don't know if teams will want to spend that much money. So my point is we'll see. It's a mystery. He could end up being a little cheaper. So if the Packers clear that space, they can get him. They're very picky about their receivers. I was surprised they're in on Will Fuller. It's a guy that they should be in on, a guy like Will Fuller, that speed that they don't have, they haven't had in a while. But this is more their style receiving, possession receiver that's got pretty good footwork, can make a contested catch. It sounds like maybe a poor man's Devontae Adams. Adams going to play in the slot a little more, but I think they would be. I think they'll be, familiar at playing in cold weather, being from Western Michigan, tough kid. I think they'll be in on him if they can be. So when I think Corey Davis, I think Titans or I think Packers. I can't really, maybe the reasons I just explained, but other than that, it's just kind of just something that goes off in my head there. We'll see if they can make it happen. The Texans, Shelby Harris, Texans, a little bit of a messy situation as well with the cap space. They're going to clear some. They have a ton of needs. I don't even know where to start with them. They missed DJ Reader big time. They missed DJ Reader as soon as he came out. The run, they really didn't stop the run at that high of a level as it was, but they were, I thought, historically bad. I don't know about statistically wise if they're historically bad, but watching them, I thought they were historically bad stopping the run. So get a guy. Let's find DJ Reader. Who's a guy that's similar to DJ Reader? I like Shelby Harris. Shelby Harris is similar to him. They were both free agents last year. DJ Reader went to the Bengals. Shelby Harris went back. I thought it was weird because I thought Shelby Harris was going to be more expensive than DJ Reader. I thought Harris was better. The reason he wasn't is because Harris is a lot older than DJ Reader. So again, he could end up being cheaper again. The Texans might be able to make this move, try to find that DJ Reader replacement. They got quite a few interior guys that are young that I do like, but they're not really run stopping guys. Blacklock can be, but I was more pumped about him getting after the quarterback. He's really good at stunts and getting in there after the quarterback. Menahu's a defensive line guy, but he's more of kind of going on the outside, on the edge almost. He's not an edge rusher, but get a guy in there that can stop the run. He's also, he also is a monster at getting pass deflections, so that's kind of a bonus there. So that'll be ideal for the Texans, something they should look out for. We talked about DALVIN Tomlinson for the Lions. Might be a little too rich for the Texans. We'll see. Colts, Trey Hendrickson. The Colts need another pass rusher, I think, pretty badly. For a really good team, they actually have some needs because, it's opened up at quarterback. It's opened up at left tackle. Obviously they need another receiver. I think they could, and quarterback's tough. I don't know if there's a guy that can really make it all, in free agency, be on the Phillip Rivers level, even though you're not asking a whole bunch. But so it's going to be interesting to see what they do. And it'd be ideal for them to trade for somebody like Stafford and maybe Garoppolo. I don't know. Wentz, people talked about. I don't think he'll be traded. I think the Eagles are going to stick with him. But that's for another time, another video. And we've kind of talked about a lot of that already. But, I think in terms of the pass rush, remember, Justin Houston's a free agent. They could probably bring him back for a little cheaper, but they still need another one. And if you're going into the draft with, maybe you want to draft tackle or the quarterback of the future, pass rusher is really not ideal anyways at that spot because sometimes these edge rusher, and whether they're picking 21, somewhere around there, they don't really work out right away. So you kind of want to get that guy in free agency. If you add a guy like Trey Hendrickson, a little bit of risk because why wasn't he playing a whole bunch? He's had one really good year. He's pretty productive the other years for a backup, but I guess there's some question marks. But I like him as a fit a lot. Whether it's replacing Justin Houston or the opposite side of Justin Houston, in there with DeForest Buckner inside of him, I think it's ideal. The Colts have the cap space to pay somebody like this. There's some other pass rushers that are a little better. I view Hendrickson as the best fit out of the group, the big time group of pass rushers. So the best fit, very good. And it will make the Colts defense that much better. They might need some corners as well. Cornerback isn't that valuable of a position in their scheme, though. It's really not. It's built everything else first because they run a lot of cover, too. Corners don't have a big responsibility in that. So, Hendrickson's definitely something to look out for. Because I think he's a big-time fit there, and they have the cap space. The Jaguars, Justin Simmons. The Jaguars could use two safeties, really. They need to get better there. They have a lot of needs, but they have the first pick where they're going to take quarterback, so scratch the quarterback off the needs list. And then maybe they need a tackle, whether it's re-signing Cam Robinson or getting somebody new in there. So, a big-time signing could be tackle because they're not able to use the first overall pick. They do have another first-round pick. So, it could be tackle. You could argue that. They could use another corner. They could use interior defensive line. But, again, safety is a big-time need. And this team, they want to compete right away. They're going to have a lot of young guys in their team, but your rookies are taking over, making impact, and they're going to want to win right away, and they're going to see it that they can. Drafting a safety is not ideal. Like, if you're going to go in there and fill that starting safety need in the draft, it's not going to be ideal. Those guys are going to struggle right away. And again, I think they're going to want to win now. So if you can kind of fill that need in free agency and then get the instant impact players it's not safety in the draft, it's other positions that you're going to get, that'll be ideal. So with all that cap space, $77 million, maybe north of that, and they're going to make some cuts probably as well. Go get the best safety in free agency, a playmaking safety in the back end. That'll be a huge boost to your defense there, and you don't have to worry about getting some second round, third round value guys, in the draft and then plugging those guys, making them start and making the current guys start wouldn't be ideal. So this would be ideal in my opinion. So go spend big on safety in free agency. Why not? The Chiefs, T.Y. Hilton. The Chiefs are going to have some negative cap, but they got Sammy Watkins, Robinson. These guys are free agents, and the receivers position's a very important position to them, obviously, how many times they throw the ball. T.Y. Hilton was third in snaps on the Colts behind Pascal and Pittman. So I think he wants to win. I think he wants to play more. That's what I think, and I think he loves Indianapolis, and he'll be happy to go back there if they want him back. But I think ideal for him to kind of get more of those snaps back, but win. He's been in the league for a long time, been a fighter. He wants to win that Super Bowl, so I think he'll take a cheap contract to play for the Chiefs, maybe a one-year deal. And with those guys possibly gone, those other guys, he can be in line for a lot of snaps right there with Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman there. So it's definitely something I can see. I think it's definitely a fit as well. Be very cool to see it. So we'll see if he decides to do that. I could see him taking that cheaper deal to play for a team like the Chiefs. So we'll see. Chargers, Leonard Floyd. So the Chargers hired Brandon Staley, the Rams defense coordinator, as their head coach. And so it's kind of obvious. I'm not saying it's obviously going to happen, but it's kind of an easy one to see this fit. Brandon Staley coached Leonard Floyd with the Bears. When Brandon Staley was there, he was actually, that's Leonard Floyd's better days on the Bears. And then Brandon Staley left. Leonard Floyd kind of starting to decline a little bit. Oddly, it was weird. And then Brandon Staley, I'm sure he was in that room saying, we need this guy here. I like this guy. He's got a lot of potential. He gets him. He has his best year of his career, a very good year, actually. So now he's with the Chargers. They're going to change up their defensive scheme a little bit. And they definitely need outside linebacker edge rushers, which they currently I think Nwosu can play that role. I think Kenneth Murray's going to start on the inside, but he can... kind of a hybrid player can here and there, but he's not going to go full go as an outside linebacker in the scheme. So it's a big time need for them, important need. So they can go out and get Leonard Floyd. I don't think too many other teams besides the Rams and the Chargers will be willing to pay a lot of money because he didn't work out with the Bears. Maybe he needs this coach. Maybe he needs, a guy like Aaron Donald, which the Chargers have. I'm really high on, Jerry Tillery. We'll see if Joey Bosa plays on the line. So I think it can work out. I don't think anybody's going to pay more than in the Rams or in a cap space situation. So I think the Chargers might win the bid for him. I don't really see any other team doing it. So something I'm kind of confident about, actually, here, Leonard Floyd to the Chargers. So we'll see. And speaking of the Rams, they're going to need to clear some space, but I thought they were lacking some kind of good inside linebacker play. They missed Corey Littleton. So if you get a guy like A.J. Johnson who kind of can bring that, and then maybe more play-making ability, taking the ball away, a little better in coverage maybe. I think that'll be ideal. They'll have to clear some space. He's had one really, really good year, monster year, 2 years ago. This year was solid. But yeah, hasn't spent a whole bunch of time on the field, had some off the field issues that actually got cleared up, so I don't think it's a concern, but that was the reason he was, out of football for so long. So with all that being said, he might not be as expensive as you would think. Especially a year where the cap space goes down a little bit. So the Rams definitely could benefit from adding a guy like this. I think it could be a huge upgrade and make the defense better, perhaps. We'll see what happens with their cap space situation. They're definitely in the negative. Next, the Raiders. The Raiders are interesting. They're deep in the negative right now. So you may say, how is this realistic? How are they going to get one of the better passers, one of the more expensive pass rushers? They actually have a lot of ways. And we'll have videos come out on how teams like the Raiders, every team's going to do this. But I was looking at it yesterday, actually. They have a lot of ways to clear a lot of space in terms of cuts. And a lot of these guys, I think, will be cut. Maybe not all of them, but they can clear a good amount of space, an insane amount of space for team being a negative. So they're going to be, I think they'll end up well into the positive here. And they hire Gus Bradley as defensive coordinator. They already needed another pass rusher, a more effective pass rusher. I think Bud Dupree can fit Gus Bradley's scheme. I think they'll have Max Crosby, the defensive end, and the Bud Dupree, an outside linebacker. They kind of got a hybrid Leo defense there where it's the pass rushers are kind of opposite styles there. And I think both are actually pretty interchangeable. Because Crosby played a little bit off the ball at Eastern Michigan. And Bud Dupree, I think he's just talented enough to do either. And Cleveland Farrell is more of a defensive end, so he can rotate in. And we actually seen Crosby slide inside, rush from a 3 technique. I thought we saw that more last year, a little more. So you can use all 3, really. But I think Bud Dupree's a pretty good fit. It's a guy that they know what they're going to get. Not enough messing around here. He had a really productive year. People kind of think, Steelers had a lot of good pieces on that defense, so are they creating for him? I thought Bud Dupree, when I watched this year, was doing a lot of the creating. And he rushed from the edge. He rushed from the inside. He created quarterback hurries, quarterback mistakes. So I think the Raiders would really like to have him, and they're going to have to make some. Right now, they can't really do this, but they're going to make those cuts. I think they will, and they'll have to, obviously, to get something like this done. The Dolphins, Will Fuller. Bottom line is the Dolphins need a receiver that can get separation. That's the bottom line. They got some speedsters in there, but it's pretty much all they are. I mean, Albert Wilson didn't really play this year. Jakeem Grant. They're just quick guys, guys that got to rely on being that just straightaway speed there after they catch the ball. Get a receiver that's pretty technical that that has that footwork. Just get separation. And I think this will open things up downfield, which they want to do at Tua Tagovailoa because they didn't do that this year. But we know he can throw downfield. We've seen it in Alabama. I know it's college going to the NFL, but a guy just doesn't lose his downfield arm talent. It just doesn't happen, So he still got it in there. So get a guy like Will Fuller. Bottom line, you just get separation. They're going to have the money to do this, so they should go and do it. Next, Vikings. NDAMUKONG here from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Yeah, the Vikings won't have a lot of cap space to deal with. They'll have to make some cuts. I think they'll do so. So, Sue could be, he's pretty underrated. I think he dominated on the Buccaneers defensive line, and the Buccaneers may want him back. They got other guys that are a little more of the priority to re-sign. Vikings are going to get Michael Pierce back. He's going to be their nose tackle. They need more of that D tackle there that can provide some pressure. They desperately need that, and that really doesn't exist in the draft. Possibly a guy like Christian Barmore from Alabama, but it's pretty weak class. So one guy is going to get him. So I think adding a guy like Sue, the veteran, that might not cost a whole bunch, kind of. Adding that piece next to Michael Pierce would be ideal. Another bonus, he's good at shit-talking Aaron Rodgers, so I think Vikings fans will like that quite a bit. So it's something I can see. I think he's a fit, and yeah, again, won't cost a whole bunch, but I think pairing him with Michael Pierce will make the Vikings interior probably worse than football, one of the worst in football this year, and that would, just like that, might make it, towards the top. Not the best, but it would boost it that much, so it'd be ideal. Next, about the Patriots, how about Kenny Golladay? I view Kenny Golladay as the best free agent wide receiver. I mean, he has everything to his game. People view him as a contested catch, downfield guy, but he's got so much more to his game. He's got the footwork, he's got the speed. You give him the ball anyway, he's very good after the catch. It's just kind of the guy the Patriots been missing, guy that they need. They've been having big luck with the receivers. Julian Edelman's kind of declining up there in age. He could be cut. So they've kind of been missing a guy like this, maybe a Randy Moss type of guy here. So it'd be ideal. They do need to find a quarterback, but I think if you add this, it'll make it appealing enough, and then they find that quarterback, then they're good to go, just like that. So add the piece around the quarterback first, maybe is the way they go. I don't know what the Patriots are going to do. I don't know if they really want to bring in a rookie quarterback. They might have to make a move for a quarterback via trade. We'll talk about that more in the offseason, I suppose. But this would be ideal for them. And they have the cap space. The Patriots have a ton of cap space. So they'll be able to pay a big-time receiver like Kenny Golladay. Who knows? Maybe he gets franchise tagged by the Lions. The Saints are way in the negative, so it was hard to come up with anything realistic here, but they're going to clear some space. They're going to clear a lot of space, but they're still going to be in the negative. So I don't know if they somehow can manage to get in the positive here. I would like Justin Houston for them. I think it would be kind of a cheaper option because he's up there in age and to play for a good team like the Saints. They're going to lose Trey Hendrickson, and the starters as of now would be Cam Jordan, Marcus Davenport. Davenport's been a little underwhelming, still like a lot of potential, more of a rotation guy. So adding another veteran in there would be ideal. I mean, they tried to get Clowney this offseason, so I think they'll be looking to get a veteran guy like this. And again, he'll be a cheaper option, but they're going to have to clear a lot of space. So it was tough to really find a super realistic one for the Saints, but I like the fit there, and it's something that they would be interested in if they can be. The Giants, another pass rusher. I like Matt Judon. I think is a good fit for their 3-4 defense. Their defense is really good this year, and they were kind of missing edge rushers. Leonard Williams getting a lot of pressure from the defensive end position on their D line and their 3-4. So get a 3-4 outside linebacker. I like the fit of Judon here. Giants would have to clear some space as well. There's some cuts they can make. But yeah, I don't know if he's going to be overly expensive. So I think the Giants could be in on him, maybe a guy like him or Hassan Reddick perhaps. I like Judon, though. It's something they can go after if they clear the space. The Jets, another pass rusher, Yannick Ngakoue. I would also like Bud Dupree for the Jets as well. Thought about that, but Ngakoue, Robert Salah is going to have to come in there and get some edge rushers, and that's very important. You see, he had Nick Bosa, he had D Ford, who was hurt this year. Ark Armstead's a guy that would kind of slide in and out, at times be an edge rusher. I think Ngakoue kind of can play that D Ford role or the Nick Bosa role, either side. Maybe more of that D Ford role, kind of rushing, standing up a little bit. So that'll be ideal. The Jets have the cap space. Ngakoue, I'm still very high on him. He's a very good young. You look how young he is, pass rusher, a lot of potential. I think working, rushing outside of a guy like Quinnen Williams would be just fantastic. He needs a home. Stick him in a spot, develop him more. He's going to be very good, very good. So I think that's a perfect spot, under Salah and a young Jets team, and just to grow. And there was kind of room. We kind of thought that he would go to the Jets, before he went to the Vikings and ended up on the Ravens. But we thought the Jets might be where he landed. So maybe now he does. We'll see. That'll be a big time signing for the Jets. Eagles are kind of like the Saints. They're way in the negative. It's going to be tough to clear. So if they somehow do clear, it's going to have to be maybe a cheap veteran guy, KJ Wright, who's still got some playmaking ability in him. We know they need linebackers and they need all of it. They need a linebacker unit, complete unit. So KJ Wright could be a guy that's a little cheaper. Veteran, obviously, with pretty good instincts there. And I think the Seahawks like just running mainly 2 linebackers most of the time. And I think they're going to roll with Bobby Wagner and Jordan Brooks, the rookie. So maybe the Eagles can get a shot on a guy like KJ Wright. The Steelers, yeah, got a bit of a cap space situation, but they can clear some space. We'll see how they decide to do that. But they need a running back. They need a running game in general. James Conner's a free agent. I think Jamal Williams is better than James Conner based on their statistics and reps over the past. People will probably disagree. I like Jamal Williams a lot. He's a starting running back, in my opinion. He's a very good pass protector as well, and he's getting better catching the ball out of the backfield and downfield. And he can run. He can run. So I think this would be ideal. I think it'd be a pretty good fit. I think a little bit of an upgrade over James Conner, but similar style back with more to his game. So that'll be ideal. He's not going to cost that much either, so they're going to have to clear some space. I think somebody's going to steal Jamal Williams. I think he's not going to cost that much. Somebody's going to steal him. Seahawks, Joe THUNEY. Yeah, Seahawks need interior help. EU potty replacement. The interior pressure got really bad. The edge pressure got pretty bad too, besides Dwayne Brown. But get that interior protection. And again, they kind of want to go back to running the ball a little more and a little more effectively. So this kind of helps two things here. This just helps everything all around. Pass protection from the interior, run blocking from the interior. The Seahawks don't have that much space. They might let some more guys walk to kind of get back to that run game. Philosophy, I guess, the way they used to do things when they were better. It was kind of weird because fans were happy that the direction they were going in, earlier this year, kind of going away from running the ball so much, and then it kind of a dagger that they didn't get as far as they normally did. And it might not be because of that, but it looks like that. So they're going to go back to that. So some people might not be happy about that. We'll see. But yeah, I think THUNEY would be a pretty good addition there. They might have to clear some space and let some guys walk. We'll see. 49ers, J.C. Jackson. I love this one. They have a bunch of, basically all their cornerbacks are free agents. Key thing here, staying healthy. The big-time players, in the defensive front, staying healthy. Remember, they're going to get all those guys back, and they get pressure. So those guys, the most important guys of that defense, within the front seven, they're going to get pressure. They're going to create the plays. So get a playmaker to take advantage of those plays. J.C. Jackson is a playmaker. He's good at reading the quarterback, jumping routes, getting his hands on the ball. He'll get beat here and there. He's not like a lockdown guy. He's going to make the play. Sometimes he'll get beat. But in this defense, with that front that creates for the secondary, where the secondary is really not the most important players of that team, get a playmaker. That would do wonders for this defense if that front is healthy. So I really like this fit. I think this would be ideal here for the 49ers if the Patriots don't get him back. Tampa Bay. For a team that's still alive, they're in the NFC Championship game. They're going to have the cap space somewhere in the 20s, $20 million. That's pretty damn good for a team that's still alive. But they got some major free agents, some big time guys that they're going to need back. I mean, Levante David, Chris Godwin, Shaq Barrett, maybe NDAMUKONG Suh. But I think the priorities on those first few guys that I named there, and they're going to get them back, and they're going to be out of cap space pretty much. So they're going to have to go to cheap option. So here is the younger, poor man's NDAMUKONG Suh, Sheldon Rankins. Rankins could be very good. He could be as good as Suh if he stays healthy. He's kind of been beat up throughout, his career. Was able to play a little more this year. You do have to kind of limit him a little bit, but I think the Buccaneers can do that. They have Vita Vea, William Golston, which Rankins would be the other position next to those guys. But if they miss out on Suh, here's the cheaper, younger option of him. So I think that'll be ideal. Because again, right now they have the cap space to maybe get somebody sexier, somebody bigger, big time, but they got to get their own guys back. Because it's a very complete team. Getting your own guys back will be obviously ideal. Tennessee Titans need some pass rush. They really need some pass rush. Clowney was getting some pressure, wasn't really making the amount of plays that we thought he would. I think he fits a 4-3 a little better, but could fit either. They might not, he's a free agent again anyways. Pair somebody with Harold Landry. I like Carl Lawson, a guy that can play in a 3-4 or 4-3. Let's see him in a 3-4 here. Strong dude, the physicality combined with athleticism is very good. He has the pass rush moves and traits too. He just doesn't really have the production isn't there, but I think it's a guy that one of these years it's gonna snap and he's gonna be getting production like crazy because he's that close to getting a bunch of sacks. He was kind of is he coming in out of Auburn? Is he a pass rusher? Is he a hand in the dirt off the ball? Is he we're gonna move him to the inside? Is he gonna play? outside in the 4-3. What is he? That's kind of, it's kind of weird how he's built. I guess kind of created that. But yeah, he was kind of a raw prospect. What is he prospect exactly? And now just last year, I thought he broke out without breaking out in a way. Kind of what I'm talking about. He hasn't had a bunch of, like, an insane amount of production, but getting the traits are improving, which is rare. Pass rush moves improving. Getting pressure. Got a lot of upside. Titans might need to clear some space. He's not going to be overly expensive, though. So I think they can make it happen. And the last one, some Washington fans might not be happy with me with this one, but I like Jameis Winston on the Washington football team. I'm still a believer in Jameis Winston. I keep saying, is he going to go win a Super Bowl? Probably not. I know that's the goal, but what quarterback can you get if you're Washington that's going to go win you a Super Bowl? I know a lot of people want him to trade for Deshaun Watson. They have the 20th overall pick, or 19th, whatever it may be, 19th overall pick. It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen. So there's not really too many options that's gonna help you right now. I would like Jameis Winston with a good defense because he's going to get production. He's going to move the ball downfield. He's going to get you those explosive plays. All the things I just listed, Washington has not been able to do. I know HEINRICK, people are high on him. He looked pretty good, but I just don't think he's the answer. You can't rely on one game, Winston can do all those things, but the bad thing about Winston, he'll turn the ball over. I don't think he's going to turn the ball over as many times he did 2 years ago. I don't think he will, but he'll turn the ball over. So what team better than Washington, a defense that is top tier and actually getting better? It very well can be the best defense in football next year. They could overcome those turnovers. At the same time, they're still getting points. They're still getting points. When Jameis would lose, when his Buccaneers team would lose, they would score a ton of points. They would lose because the defense wasn't that good then. They would surrender a lot of points, or Jameis would throw the interception, and it would set up the offense, and the defense couldn't really overcome it, but they were still scoring enough points technically to win the game. So I think it's a really good fit here. I think this is it's an ideal situation. I don't know if they'll actually do it. I would like for them to do it. I would love for them to do it. The Saints might want to get him back. We'll see. But yeah, if the Saints kind of, we've seen Drew Brees, people think that he said, this is your team now. If the Saints kind of believe in him, the Saints have been a team that's just like, if we take care of the ball, if we manage the game, we win. And that's kind of why they lost, that game. But that's kind of been their philosophy of the game. Go quick. Let's not turn the ball over. Let's manage the game. That's kind of been their philosophy offensively to win games. So if they kind of believe in Winston a little bit, who has not been that type of guy, then there's some hope. There's definitely some upside here. So again, I think this will get them the ball downfield, explosive plays, yards, points up on the board, a defense that can overcome the turnovers when they need to. Perfect fit in my opinion. And the Washington football team would be damn good. I think so. So I'm probably more a believer in Winston than most people. Again, I don't think he's a great quarterback. Not saying that. But he can throw the damn ball. There's a lot of quarterbacks that are getting too many chances, too many opportunities league-wide that just can't throw the ball. They can't throw it more than 5 yards. So we'll see what happens there. So I would like that. One I actually thought about for Washington, they could be looking at another corner. I think Richard Sherman's actually a really good fit in Rivera's scheme. I actually think that, but do they want to go that veteran? It's a young defense, so it's kind of a question. I just would really like Winston to fit there. So that's my thoughts. That's every single team on the free agents I think they should sign. I think a lot of them are good enough fits where I think they definitely could happen, or these teams will be interested. Who knows? They can definitely get outbid by another team. I just can't wait for free agency. Because all of our coverage, our predictions, everything, and our grades, we grade every single signing that happens, almost instantly after it happens. We talk about it on our Twitter instantly, all that breaking news. So follow that, smash that like button, subscribe, turn notifications on. That is going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching. Goodbye.